Good afternoon, everybody. This is Mark. I'm going to be doing the afternoon recap. Scott has actually had to run down to Florida for some personal reasons. So, on to the market. A whole lot of nothing. Was not that exciting today at all. We knew it was going to be like that. This market, this action is telling us that we're in this mode probably for the next few days. It is holiday week for a lot of schools. So, a lot of people could be, on vacation or a minimum not too involved in the tape. That seems to be what's happening across the board. Looking at the spider chart, again, 13,000 yesterday was that little resistance. Again, psychological number more than anything else. Not really technical. Sold off a little bit, and we're coming down, but the volume is not very drastic. It's very controlled. If anything, if we come down, I would look for the 21-day moving average to hold, which would be about 134 on the spiders. I don't think we get down there that far. Really, we've been holding roughly about the 10-day moving average, which seems to be intact at this point in time. I keep telling you there's rotation that's happening. Rotation on the upside, rotation on the downside. Today, you could have said commodities and oil really were the two sectors that minimum had an uptick. I wouldn't say they were, fast and furious, but had a little bit of strength in there. And you can just see gold had its second day follow through. Looks like it's a free and clear move at this point to 75. Obviously, it'll probably rest somewhere along the line, but free and clear move at least for the GLD. Back to 175, and I believe that's roughly a little over 1,800, at least over 1,800 for the actual commodity itself. Silver also, to me, little back and forth type day. Looks like it's actually going to wake up at some point in time. And this wake up, this is now you're going back to September. So if this thing can get above 34, 33.50, 34 with some sort of volume, you could easily fill the gap back to around 37, 37.50, 38 for silver. So there might be a bigger trade in there for us. It's going to be a patient man's trade. I don't think it's just, a lot of the moves that certainly happen overnight, so we'll have to wait and see. Some standout commodity trades, Schlumberger looked like it, woke up a little bit. What is Exxon doing? Exxon grinding higher. OIH, new highs, new yearly highs certainly. Some of the oil services still hanging in there, nothing too crazy. NOV, I believe, had a decent day, new highs. So you're having selective trades, but across the board, it's not just, being in fifth gear. This is the time, in my opinion, certainly to, lessen the amount of stocks you're looking at, understand rotation happens. And when I say rotation happens, you can see oil was strong, some commodities certainly were strong, and a sector that looks like it's, having a little dent in it is home builders. Toll came out with earnings, a little weakness. In this weakness, I think you'll actually we'll create a buying opportunity. I don't think we're there yet, but understand, obviously, the home builders have moved a long way. They need to take a break. Right now, first line of defense is the 50-day of roughly 21.50. Look at that, at least temporarily. And big boys, obviously, it's a tale of two tapes. You can talk about Walmart, which has taken a very nice hit, into earnings, and it looks like it's heading to possibly its 200-day moving average. I don't know if it's going to necessarily get there. If it gets there, it's a two-handed back up the truck type move in the swing, because it will go higher at that point in time, but I don't think we're there yet. You might get a trade if it's a gap down tomorrow. There might be a trade, a viable trade for this stock. We're not there yet. Apple, still Apple, almost an inside day for Apple. 515 seems to be a little resistance. We know there's a conference call tomorrow. Everybody's going to be watching it. We'll see if they're going to, whether it's going to be a special dividend, whether it's going to be a 2-for-1 stock split. We'll see what Apple does. Certainly, you have to have it on the radar. If it's a dividend, if it's a 2-for-1 stock split, the stock's probably going to be up another $20 or something to that effect. So just keep it on the radar. It doesn't seem like it's ready to go down. But if it's not a huge announcement, I certainly could see it coming back down to around 500, which would mean it's just back and forth digestion and healthy for the stock for eventually it to move higher. Other high betas, not really much to talk about. I know Baidu had an okay day. Nothing exciting there for me to talk about. Looks like it's coming right off, bounced right off its 200-day moving average. Netflix actually had some follow through on the short side, which we haven't seen for a little bit. And I might have mentioned it yesterday at the close, but the Comcast news that there's a new competitor in town, which everybody's getting into that market regardless. Stock actually, is shorters love to press it when it looks like it's ready to go down. Obviously, it almost filled the gap, which was not really 105. It went to around 108, I believe, 107 and change, 108.54. So it still has a little bit more room to go to the downside, which I actually think it probably will grind a little bit. It will slow down at some point in time also. From some retailers, not a whole lot going on. I know, some standout on the news front. Herbalife, smaller stock, a little thinner. Something that certainly, that sector has been, moving and grooving at this point in time. Solars, nothing to talk about. So FSLR is coming out with earnings. I believe it's tomorrow at the close. So keep it on the radar. Maybe it jumpstarts it. Based on what I'm seeing on the charts, doesn't seem like there's a whole lot of action. I know after hours, Vivus, the drug, just got approved unanimously. So it's halted when I walked in here. It's probably going to be gapped up a decent chunk. And so we'll have to wait and see. There hasn't been a weight loss drug, from what I understand, in the last 14 years that's been on the market. So it could be interesting. And obviously, a Weight Watchers, Nutrisystem, you might have to keep that on the radar on the short side. Maybe a temporarily, dents them a little bit. What else am I looking at? Other standouts, I would say Visa and MasterCard, unreal. Great stocks, great looking charts. MasterCard, new all-time high. Had a little bit of extension today. Visa looks like it's going to probably extend tomorrow. Other big boys, it seems, there's a lot of big boys that are very, very tight that I think have a chance to have some extensions. IBM's one of them. Boeing looks pretty good. And, you just got to keep these on the radar. They're not the sexiest stocks in the world, certainly, but to me it seems like it's necessarily to have on the radar. Banks, taking a break. And I think that's going to be the MO across the board. We've obviously moved a decent amount in the beginning of the year. And I like to say that, this market, you look at it in 6-week stretches. And we're now getting to the latter part of that 6 weeks from the beginning of the year. And you're going to see you're going to get new looks. The market changes. The market will evolve. Right now, I would expect lots of digestion that's happening over the last week and a half. And if you're not a good stock picker, if you're not picking the right ideas or the right sector, you're obviously probably spinning your wheels a little bit. I don't expect that to change. It was definitely lackluster action today. We can call it maybe it was the holiday or the fact that that's just where we're at. Shockingly, though, based on the oscillators that I'm using, we're getting close to oversold at this point in time, which is surprising considering we're barely down. But again, they're just readings. There are other indicators just to help guide you and figure out which way the market is heading. To me, market's still heading higher. Strategic, concise pullbacks are buyable. That's all I can say right now. I mean, intraday, you're not getting those sweet spots that you really want. You buy it, and the next thing you know, it's up $5. We'll get that again, but we're in a little bit of a tighter tape right now, and you got to be a lot more specific with your prices. And if you can hang out and wait, I think you're going to be in a better situation. I mean, one trade that I'll spotlight today that I've been, leaning on for the last few days. RAX, I like the stocks that have 4 or 5 days, good earnings, gap up, 4 or 5 days of rest, digestion, could mean downward action on lighter volume. Then they wake up and they resume their uptrend. That's what RAX has done. Obviously, it's been in my swing for about 3 days. I started buying it, I believe it was on Friday, and continued to buy it yesterday, and obviously got a little bit rewarded for it today. But those type of trades, look around. They're there. It's your job to really find them. Obviously, we try to introduce them to you when we see them. But I like the stocks that have a gap up, a few days of consolidation, ideally 3 to 7 days is ideal for me. And you look for opportunities to get involved. Another stock that, had a nice pullback after a massive run was REGN. We talked about it in the morning. Wasn't perfect, but if you're small enough, you can take advantage of a nice, $6 move in an idea. And that's really what you're looking at. After a move to almost 120, came back below 90, below 100, all the way down to 94. Looked like it was a buyable opportunity. Now it should digest. You'll get probably one more up day, little digestion. You have to wait and see what happens. Those are the type of ideas, those are the type of setups right now I'm looking at in this tape, respecting the fact that we have run a long way, respecting the fact that if we do have some more downward action, I'm going to be prepared for it. Going to be very light on the long side, hedge it with at minimum spiders, and if I start to see selective plays, I'll certainly short them. But overall, I'm still pretty bullish, and that's not changing anytime soon, unless something in the market tells me that it should. It didn't yet. This action is healthy, but at the same time, it's a little dull, and we just have to sit tight. So good luck. Enjoy your night, and obviously we'll talk tomorrow.